CBI chairman calls for greater appreciation of the program, which he says contributes significantly to the country's economic development. We'll have details to this story and more in the national report.
Prepare for hurricane. Prepare for hurricane. Make sure you have your radio and your batteries too. Waterproof flashlight candles will do thin stuff. Garbage bag, first aid kit. Come on people, make sure you have it. Clean water in a container and a hurricane plan. Hear me no man.
Hurricane damage is beyond your control. Surviving the aftermath is up to you. Have a hurricane plan. It can save your life and your family too.
Prepare for hurricane. Your hair, prepare for hurricane.
With the details to the news for Friday, November 4th, 2022, I am Sherry-Ann Noel. Chairman of the Board of Directors of the Citizenship by Investment Program, Richard Duncan, calls for a greater appreciation of the benefits the CBI program brings to the local economy. This, he said, can only be done by increasing transparency of the program. Duncan made the call during his remarks at the Investment Migration and the Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited annual roundtable conference on Thursday. The program has generated millions to the growth and development of the economy, with over 112 million collected so far for 2022.
We believe that we need to share information with the public. We need to ensure that the narrative around what investment migration is about and the way we use the funds to transform Grenada to meet the UN Sustainable Development Goals, to really bring resilience to the population. You know, we speak about infrastructure, we speak about building institutions. I think it must be clear to people how we allocate those funds to achieve those things.
As a former banker and manager of the Grenada Cooperative Bank, Mr. Duncan assures the public that the CBI committee has been doing its due diligence to ensure Grenada is protected from substandard investors. He explains that even the local financial institution involved with the CBI has its level of checks and balances of investors.
Sometimes we do not always tell a good story. And we believe because we are doing a good job, there's no need to say we are doing a good job, but that is not enough. If you don't give people information, they will use their imagination. So we, and when I say we, Grenada, in my opinion, has done an excellent job in due diligence and in minimizing the risk that bad actors become citizens of Grenada. If you look at all the media exposures, you will find you'll have a difficult time finding anyone where we have failed. And there are good reasons for that. I think the first and most important reason is that the bank that is involved in the investment migration program in Grenada does its own due diligence and has made it very clear that once an applicant does not pass their due diligence exercise, they will not be processing any funds.
Managing Director of the Grenada Cooperative Bank, Larry Lawrence, commits that his bank will do all in its power to support the CBI and ensure the growth of the investment migration sector.
Grenada Cooperative Bank would have celebrated 90 years in July this year of being an indigenous bank in Grenada. And if one considers Citizens by Investment as being an initiative that has national implications, it can be transformative if done well. And therefore, as an indigenous bank and being around for 90 years, we certainly want to do our part in collaborating with the government and the CBI committee towards anything that will be for the benefit of Grenadians and the Grenadian people. So therefore, we are in front in terms of collaborating with government and the CBI towards promoting and enhancing the CBI project within Grenada.
The CBI program currently has 968 applications awaiting processing. Moving along, the Ministry of Carriacou and Petit Martinique Affairs is supporting a local organization in hosting an art exhibition on the sister isle of Carriacou, starting today, Friday, November 4th to Saturday, November 5th. It's called Kia in the Bagadere. Bagadere is the name of a place in Tyrrell Bay that's associated with boat building, the oyster bed, and culture. It is the third time the exhibition is being held, and one of the organizers, Jeffrey Isaac, says it will feature all forms of art, including literary art, painting, and sculpture, among others. The official ceremony starts at about 7 p.m. tonight, followed by entertainment and a display of all things artistic.
The idea is to bring members of the artistic community, those who are less well known, less well recognized, less well talked about, bring them under one roof for one day so that the community from which they are can get to know them better, not just as the individual, but as the artist, and get to see their artistic output, and of course, to patronize as well, to buy, to interact with the artist. So yes, we have painters, we have sculptors, we have craftsmen, we have authors of books, and of course, as you mentioned, we have culinary as well, and we'll be replicating a tropical garden. So we also have the horticultural side of the art.
Okay. In terms of the two-day event, what's happening on Friday, what's happening on Saturday? If someone is interested, what can they expect to see or do at the event?
So Friday is the official launch. We have an official ceremony that starts at 7:05 p.m. And there people will have an opportunity to have snippets from the literary side of things. So there'll be reading from some of the authors. For example, Carriacou's most renowned poet and author, Christine David. So they'll have a chance to hear from a varied selection of authors. And then the exhibition opens after it is declared officially opened by Her Excellency the Governor General. So right there and then, patrons would get to walk through the gallery, so to speak, and to see and to obtain, to touch and to taste the art.
Isaac highly commended the government of Grenada, specifically the Ministry of Carriacou and Petit Martinique Affairs, for supporting this year's event. He admitted if it wasn't for the involvement of the ministry, this year's exhibition would not have been possible.
For this year's event, we were not certain that we're going to have it at all. So this is happening at short notice. And for the Ministry of Carriacou and Petit Martinique Affairs and dealing with the PS, Mr. Javan Williams, if they had not come on board, it's fair to say that the event would not be held. They are taking the backbone of the sponsorship and even organization with logistics, organizing with logistics. So we have the Ministry of Carriacou and Petit Martinique Affairs. We have the Ministry of Agriculture on the mainland, they've assisted us with preparation of the props, so supplying us with bamboo, supplying us with flowers from one of their agricultural stations. We have GIS, the government printry, supporting us with printing all the things that we need to get printed. So across the board, for government ministries, it's well represented and real effective.
National Disaster Coordinator Dr. Terence Walters says the National Disaster Management Agency, NADMA, will work toward increasing the number of tsunami-prepared communities throughout the island. He said so far there are a few communities on the western side of the country close to the coastline that are tsunami-ready. However, that level of preparedness must be spread island-wide. Dr. Walters made the pronouncement during his message to commemorate World Tsunami Day on November 5th. A tsunami is a series of waves caused by the displacement of a large volume of water, generally in an ocean or large lake, that can be triggered by earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and other underwater explosions.
We have been doing some work in terms of making some communities to the west and to the north tsunami ready, right? So we've been doing some of that. We have to expand that. But again, we encourage people who live along the coastline to know the hazard, know how it can impact us, and know what you can do to ensure that you're prepared.
Grenada, he said, is not isolated from the effects of a tsunami. He advised each household and community to develop a plan that will ensure safety in the event.
We want to encourage the population to know what the hazard is, know what the tsunami is, know how it is generated, and how it can impact it. It mostly would impact the coastline and low-lying areas. So people who live on the coastline, and a lot of our population live on the coastline. So people who live along the coastline need to know what a tsunami is, need to know how it can impact, what are the signs we look for. So if there's a significant earthquake, then we know that a tsunami can be generated. If we see the sea receding, then we know it's possible that there will be a tsunami. So we urge people to know what the tsunami is, know the signs that will tell you, hey, there is a tsunami, that's going to impact us, and know what you can do, know your escape route.
Moving along, the Ministry of Health and Wellness is collaborating with the Pan-American Health Organization to strengthen the country's immunization system and increase acceptance and confidence in vaccines. This will be done through the training of healthcare providers on events supposedly attributed to vaccination or immunization. The workshop will be held from Monday, November 7th to Friday, November 11th at the Radisson Beach Resort. Acting Expanded Program and Immunization Manager Hannah Julian St. Paul said 40 health professionals will participate in the 5-day workshop.
This training is really being done in an effort to strengthen the capacity of our healthcare practitioners involved in immunization or immunization program. We are hoping that they would be better able to detect, notify, and investigate events supposedly attributed to vaccines or immunization, according to our national guidelines.
She is optimistic that the training will boost the country's vaccination coverage, which is currently way below average. The EPI manager assured the public that the immunization system is being monitored in accordance with international standards.
This workshop would also assist with strengthening of the immunization system by providing reassurance to the public that monitoring of the program is done in order to be able to build trust, especially for the introduction of new vaccines within our program. It is important that the public trust the program that we offer, trust the vaccines that we offer to the public, because this is what would influence the increase in the demand for vaccination and acceptance of vaccines, as well as assist in improving our vaccination coverage. And we know that our vaccination coverage at this point in time is very critical, as we are seeing outbreaks of polio and other childhood diseases in different regions.
This is the National Report. More news after the break.
The Grenadian General Insurance Half Marathon and 10K Road Race is on Sunday, November 13th. This race starts at 2 p.m., beginning at Current Junction, St. David, and going to the Karani James Athletic Stadium. There are prizes for the top 10 male and female finishers in the half marathon, top 5 finishers in the 10K, prizes for the oldest finisher, youngest finisher, and the school, club, or organization with the most finishers. Transportation will be provided. Register at GrenadaXS.com. Registration closes Saturday, 12th November. The Grenadian General Insurance Half Marathon and 10K Road Race is on.
The Ministry of Sports concluded its series of parish consultations on the National Sports and Physical Activities Policy this week in Carriacou and Petit Martinique. The process, which began in October, is geared toward formulating the policy to regularize and improve various sporting disciplines in schools and communities. Government is also assessing the need to establish parish sports councils to assist in the management of sporting facilities and activities. On Thursday, during the Carriacou meeting, Sports Minister Honorable Ron Redhead said huge investments will be made to develop grassroots sporting activities. He outlined government's plans to upgrade infrastructure and facilities in the not-too-distant future.
We are going to see, through the implementation of this sports policy, genuine investments in grassroots, schools, and community sporting activities. As you have seen, for example, we have been able to pilot in the South a sporting activity through Minister Andy Williams, and it went well from all indications. Lessons will be learned there, and we'll see how we'll get to the point to duplicate. So Carriacou and Petit Martinique will not be left behind. You have a minister that every single day seeks to advocate for his people, and the government certainly in this regard is listening And we intend to ensure that this national sports policy reaches you, but not just reaches you, that you have a stake in how it is implemented in your two islands. We will be working to improve one of the courts at carriacou, that is Dover. So we are working, we are delivering. And this is a testimony to our true ambition to work in the interests of people and to ensure that at all levels, whether sporting, culture, or youth, that my ministry works hand in hand with the Ministry of Carriacou PD Martinique to be able to implement government's policies, essentially benefiting people and improving our way of life.
A virtual meeting is scheduled for November 12th with representatives of the Olympic Committee, national federations, and associations. And finally in the news, Minister for Agriculture and Lands, Fisheries and Cooperatives, Senator Adrian Thomas, continues to meet staff at various propagation and other agriculture stations as the government moves ahead with plans to transform the agriculture sector to make it more sustainable. On Thursday, he met with workers at the Maribor Propagation Station. Supervisor at the Maribor Station, Nigel Gibbs, outlined that the minister's visit will motivate the workers to be more dynamic, which will increase productivity at the propagation station.
Because they have that direct communication now with the minister, the man in charge of the business, of keeping them employed, of getting all the supplies and inputs, of making sure that the policies set out in the parliament gets down to the ground level and get implemented. So I think seeing the minister brought some hope, some renewed hope for the workers here in terms of demoralization, encouragement, always saying, well, the people in the administration and the policymakers not visiting the compound. And if you take a sharp look around, you can appreciate the level of deterioration in several areas, and there have been some recent upgrades, I might add, but it is a work in progress. So having the minister come and do a visit and possibly take a tour before he leaves will go a long way in getting the workers motivated, ready to drive the transformation agenda that the government has set forth for this industry in particular and the nation overall.
Senator Thomas, together with a delegation of technical officers from the ministry, began the visitations weeks after assuming the role as minister. The process is aimed at getting a better understanding of the issues and concerns that plague workers and ultimately formulate a strategy toward addressing those concerns. Agriculture Minister Senator Thomas said so far, job security, infrastructure development, and overall staff development are recurring concerns for employees at the various facilities. These issues, he said, are very troubling.
I'm concerned about some of the problems that they have here, and these problems will be addressed very, very soon. Some of them are urgent, some of them are medium term, and many of them are we can address in the long term. But Maribor is a very, very important institution in terms of plant production for the new government and the transformational agenda that we are embarking on. And therefore, everything has to be put in place to make sure that we achieve our goals.
Another worker who served as driver and small engine mechanic at the station says the minister's visit was welcomed.
In the past, we had other visits in the past, and then we get the assurance that we would get certain changes, and it never really materialized, So, in the interest of boosting the industry, from this neck of it, I hope that, we get some, as I say, equipment to work with, I hope they stretch out a hand to us up here so we could be able to produce, you understand? Because right now we right down grassroots, so we need some boost up here so we could produce. We have the manpower, workers are willing and everything, but we need stuff to work with, yeah. So it was nice seeing the minister, I hope we see him a little more often,
And with that story, we come to the end of the National Report for Friday, November 4th, 2022. On behalf of the entire news and production team, I'm Sharian Noel, thanking you for viewing.